The room was dark, the air was heavy, lights flashed in red and blue. Strange creatures sat around stage. Some had wings, some had metal skin. All of them came for the same reason, the midnight auction. A tall alien with 4 eyes stood in the center. He was the auctioneer. His voice echoed through the hall. Next item, number 99, he said with a grin. A cage rose slowly from the floor. Inside it, a girl sat on her knees. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were glowing gold. Her hands and legs were chained. She looked young, maybe 19, but something about her was not human. The crowd went silent. The auctioneer spoke again. This is a rare one, found floating near a destroyed space station. She burned the whole place with her bare hands. No past, no records, no control. The girl looked up. Her eyes were full of fire, not fear. Starting bid, 10,000 credits. The auctioneer shouted. No one moved. He laughed nervously. Come now, don't be afraid. A short creature whispered. She's dangerous. Another replied. She has no master. She will kill anyone. The auctioneer raised his voice. All right, 5,000 credits. Still no hands raised. She stood inside the cage. Her chains rattled. She stared at them like a wild animal ready to attack. Even the bravest aliens looked away. The auctioneer's smile faded. 1,000 credits. Anyone. Silence. Then. A voice came from the back. I'll take her. Everyone turned. A human walked forward. He was not strong, not rich. He wore a long brown coat and boots covered in dust. His face was tired, but his eyes were calm. The auctioneer blinked. You say you'll take her? The human nodded. Yes, a tall lizard alien laughed. You will die in your sleep, human. The auctioneer stepped closer. She is not safe. You can't return her. I know, the human said. The girl looked at him for the first time. Her glowing eyes narrowed. She didn't understand. Payment? The auctioneer asked. The human pulled out a small bag. Everything I have. The auctioneer opened the bag. Inside were crystals, a small energy core, and an old ring. It wasn't much, but the auctioneer nodded. Sold. The crowd began to whisper. Who is this human? Is he mad? Maybe he knows something we don't. The cage opened. The girl didn't move. She stared at the human. He stepped forward and spoke gently. Come with me. She walked slowly, still in chains. Her steps were silent, but powerful. As they left the auction house, the doors closed behind them. The camera above blinked once, recording everything outside. Stars filled the sky. The human guided her to a small old ship. It looked broken, just like him. Inside the ship, he sat her down and pressed a button. Her chains unlocked. She could run. She could kill him, but she didn't. He gave her a blanket. You must be cold. She didn't answer. He didn't ask questions. He just said, you're safe now. She looked at him, confused. You're not a weapon, he said quietly. Not to me. She blinked. Her eyes dimmed for the first time. Not angry, just tired. The ship lifted into the sky, flying through the stars. Behind them, the auction house lights turned off. But messages were already being sent across the galaxy. Item 99 has been sold to a human. Send bounty alert. Target, wild girl status extremely dangerous. The girl sat silently, but her heart was racing. She had no name, no past, but something inside her changed. She looked at the human again. Who was he? Why did he buy her? He looked out the window, deep in thought. She spoke softly. Her voice cracked like dry leaves. You shouldn't have taken me. He smiled. Maybe, but I did. Asterisk. The ship floated in silence. Outside, space stretched like a black ocean full of stars and cold secrets. Inside, the air was quiet to quiet. The alien girl sat in the corner, wrapped in the blanket the human gave her, but her eyes were open wide, watching. She hadn't moved for hours. The human sat in the pilot seat. His name was Rain. He didn't speak either. He didn't even look at her. He just stared at the screen, flying through empty space. But he knew she wasn't asleep. She was waiting. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The air turned hot, very hot. Rain turned around. She was standing and glowing. Her hands burned with golden light. Her eyes were fire. I said, she whispered, voice deep and sharp, you shouldn't have taken me. The ship's walls began to melt. The glass on the dashboard cracked. Alarms started to scream. Rain didn't move. She walked closer, her feet leaving scorch marks on the floor. I destroy, she said. That's all I do. Let me go. Still, Rain didn't run. He didn't raise a weapon. He simply said, then, do it. The heat grew worse. The ship's engine coughed, but her fire stopped. She looked confused. I said, do it, Rain repeated. The fire in her hands faded a little. You're not afraid? Rain nodded. I am, but not of you. She stood frozen. No one ever looked at me like that, she said softly. Rain took a slow step forward. I don't think you want to kill me. You just don't know what else to do. Her voice cracked. They made me ... to kill. She fell to her knees. Her power vanished. Smoke rose from her skin. Rain walked closer and knelt beside her. Who made you? I don't know, she said. I woke up inside fire. Then they sent me out. I didn't understand. I destroyed ... everything. And they laughed. Her eyes filled with something new. Pain. Rain looked at her arms. There were burned scars, old ones, marks of testing, marks of control. He whispered, "You're not a weapon anymore." She looked up. "Then what am I?" He didn't answer. "Not yet." She passed out. Rain laid her on the small bed in the back room. He checked the controls. The ship was damaged but flying. He locked the door and turned on an old screen. He searched galactic archives, hacked into private systems, and typed one phrase: "Alien girl with gold fire eyes, auction number 99. One result popped up: classified project NYX, subject BETA 7, status missing, highly dangerous, kill on sight. Rain leaned back. "They built her," he whispered, "and now they want her dead." His hands shook, but he knew one thing: they weren't getting her back. Hours passed. She woke up this time. She didn't attack. She walked into the control room and sat down quietly. Her body was still weak. Her hair looked like soft silver now, no longer wild. Rain handed her water. "You feeling better?" She took it without speaking. "What do they call you?" he asked. She shook her head. "I have no name." "Do you remember anything before the fire?" "No." He nodded slowly. "Then we'll find the truth together." She blinked. "Why do you care?" Rain didn't answer at first. Then, softly, he said, "Because once someone took everything from me too. My home, my sister burned to ash. I never found out who did it." The girl looked into his eyes for the first time. She saw sadness, real sadness. And she knew he was broken too. Far away, in a dark control room on a distant planet, an old alien watched the auction recording. His eyes narrowed. "She's alive, with a human," he growled. Another alien beside him hissed, "Should we send bounty hunters?" "No," the old one said. "Send the cleaners. If she remembers who she is, the whole galaxy will burn." The ship drifted through the void, quiet like a ghost. Inside, both travelers sat in silence. Rain was fixing wires near the engine room. Sparks flew. His hands were steady, but his thoughts were not. He kept thinking about the girl. She hadn't spoken in hours. She just sat near the window, staring into space like she was searching for something or someone. Rain wiped sweat from his forehead and walked back to her. "We'll reach the next moon in 6 hours, he said. "There's a place we can hide, maybe rest." She didn't respond. Her glowing eyes were dim now, tired, almost human. Rain sat across from her. The silence grew heavy, but then he saw it just below her left ear, half hidden by her hair. There was a strange, glowing mark. Not a tattoo, not natural. It was shaped like a spiral, made of thin golden lines, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. "What's that on your neck?" he asked quietly. She froze. He leaned closer. "It's glowing." She pulled her hair over it, hiding it. "Don't touch it." Rain raised his hand slowly. "All right, but I've seen something like it before." She looked at him sharply. Rain stood up and opened a locked cabinet. Inside was a small black tablet. Old, dusty. He turned it on, typed a code, and a hidden folder appeared. He clicked it. A video played. It showed a group of alien scientists standing around a metal table. A girl, young chained, was screaming in pain. Her eyes glowed, just like the girl. On his ship. The same mark was being burned into her skin. Project name: Nix, subject Beta-7. That the video ended. Rain's voice was low. "They called it Project Nix. I found this tablet on a dead ship years ago. Everyone was gone. Only this file remained." The girl trembled. "That was me," she whispered. Rain nodded. "They marked you. You weren't just born. You were made." She stood up slowly, breathing hard. Her hands shook. "I don't remember," she said. "But when I see that place, I feel fire, pain, and screaming." Rain looked at her kindly. "You don't have to go back there. Not ever." She looked down. "You don't understand. That mark, it's not just a symbol. It's a signal." Rain's eyes narrowed. "A signal?" She nodded. "They can find me. If it's glowing, it means they're already close." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. An alarm beeped. Rain ran to the control panel. A red warning flashed across the screen. "Incoming ship unregistered, fast approaching." He cursed under his breath. "We've been tracked." The girl stood still, her voice calm and cold. "They're here to take me." "No," Rain said, grabbing his jacket. "They'll have to kill me first." Outside the ship, a sleek black vessel approached, silent as death. Inside it, 2 bounty hunters prepared their weapons. One of them grinned. "This'll be quick. Stun the girl. Kill the human. We get double if she's alive." The ship landed hard. Metal feet stomped through the corridor. Rain held a blaster. His hand trembled, but he didn't back away. The girl stepped in front of him. "Let me handle them," she said softly. "No," Rain whispered. "You'll burn yourself out again." "I'm not afraid." "But I am," Rain replied. They stared at each other for the first time, like real allies. The door burst open. Smoke, light, shouting. Rain fired. She raised her hand. A golden wave shot forward, controlled this time. Not wild. It hit both attackers like a storm, knocking them out cold. The ship shook, but didn't break. When it ended, the girl fell to her knees, gasping. Rain caught her before she hit the ground. "You controlled it," he said, shocked. She smiled weakly. "Not all of it, but enough." He looked down at her neck. The mark had stopped glowing, but it was still there, still alive, still watching. Elsewhere, in a deep lab, hidden on a cold asteroid, an alien technician watched a screen blink red. She used her power again, he said. The old alien leader walked in, and the mark still active. The old one narrowed his eyes. Good, let them run. Every time she uses her power, she gets weaker. Soon her mind will break, and when it does, we take her back. He turned to a dark glass wall behind. It's something even worse was being built. Another girl, smaller, younger, stronger. The old alien smiled. Beta 7 was just a test. The ship was falling apart. Wires sparked from the ceiling. The engine was overheating. Smoke filled the hallway. Rain slammed his hand on the control panel. I need 5 more minutes to fix the drive. We don't have 5 minutes, the girl said. She stood at the window. Outside 2 ships were closing in. Sleek black. Fast. Hunters. Not for money. Not for justice. They were sent to erase her. Rain looked at her. If we jump now, without full power, the ship might break apart. She didn't blink, then jump. Rain hesitated. You could die. She looked at him, eyes glowing softly, voice calm. So could you. He took a deep breath. His hand hovered over the emergency drive switch. One chance, he whispered. He pulled it. The stars around them ripped open. The ship screamed. Metal groaned. Inside, the girl held on as the walls shook. She could feel her skin burning again, not from fire, but from the pressure of the jump. Something inside her was breaking. She closed her eyes. Suddenly, silence. The ship fell out of jump space. Dead, floating. They were alive. Barely. The emergency lights flickered. Rain sat on the floor, coughing. His hands were bleeding. The girl lay still, eyes closed. Hey, he whispered, crawling to her. Hey, stay with me. She opened her eyes slowly. I'm okay. He helped her sit up. We're safe for now. She looked out the window. A dark moon hung in the distance. Dead, empty. Rain checked the systems. We can land, hide there for repairs. The girl nodded. But they'll keep coming. I know. He paused. You saved me back there. She looked at him. You didn't run. Back there. For the first time, they smiled at each other. Just for a second, then the power went out. Hours later, the ship landed on the moon. Dark rock. No air. No life. Just caves and silence. Rain and the girl moved fast, carrying tools and supplies into a deep cavern. Inside, they lit a fire. Small, flickering but warm. She sat close to it, her arms wrapped around herself. Rain looked at her neck again. The mark had changed. It wasn't just glowing. Now it was pulsing, like it was alive, like it was calling something. I think the mark is spreading, he said. She nodded. Every time I use my power, it grows. Rain sat beside her. What happens when it finishes? She looked at the fire. Then I stopped being me. Suddenly, a sound, not wind, not rock. A machine. Rain stood up fast. They found us. The girl's eyes lit up brighter than before. Let them come. No, Rain said. You're too weak. I can fight. Rain shook his head. You'll burn out. She stepped forward. Then we run. The cave shook as a drone entered, spinning blades, sharp claws, glowing red eyes. It fired a bolt of plasma. Rain grabbed her hand. This way they ran deeper into the caves, through tunnels, over ledges. Behind them the drone chased like a shadow. Rain tripped. The girl turned. The drone aimed at his head. She screamed. A shockwave of fire exploded from her hands. The drone shattered into dust. The cave cracked. Rocks began to fall. Rain pulled her close and shielded her as the world around them collapsed. When the dust cleared, they were buried in a hollow space under the rocks. Alive but trapped. The girl was shaking. Blood dripped from her nose. Her skin was glowing too bright. Rain, she whispered. I can't hold it anymore. I feel something breaking inside me. Rain held up, his voice soft. Then I'll carry you. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. Why do you keep helping me? Because, he said, someone once helped me when I was lost and I didn't save her, but maybe I can save you. She closed her eyes. Not from pain, but from something new. Peace. Far above, in space, a signal lit up on an alien control screen. The old alien leader leaned forward. The mark is almost complete, he said. She's entering the final phase. What now? Asked one of his guards. The old one smiled. Now we don't kill her. He turned to a giant screen where a map showed hundreds of similar marks. We wake the others. The cave was quiet now. Dust floated in the air like ash. Rain pushed a rock aside and helped the girl climb out of the debris. Her breathing was shallow. Her light, once golden, now flickered like a dying flame. They were alive, but not for long, unless they found answers. Rain looked up at the dark sky. We need to go where it all began. The girl didn't ask where. She already knew. The ship barely flew. Its hull was cracked. Its core burned at 40% power, but Rain set the coordinates with shaking hands. Destination, Core Lab Theta. Location, restricted, hidden, forgotten. Hold on, he said. The ship shot forward, weak, but determined. The core lab sat inside the heart of a dead planet. No light, no sky, just a door carved into black stone. It hadn't opened in years. Until now, as the ship landed, the girl felt something deep in her body, a hum, like a memory trying to wake up. She stepped out onto the cold ground. This place remembers me. Rain walked beside her, holding a blaster. Then maybe it'll tell us who you are. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, the walls were white and clean. Too clean. Screens blinked, machines clicked to life. No dust, no damage, like it had been waiting. A voice echoed through the hallway. "Welcome back, Beta 7. Rain froze. The girl didn't blink. "It knows me." They moved forward. They passed empty rooms. Cracked tanks filled with dried liquid. Surgical tables, chains, whatever they did here, Rain said. It wasn't science. It was slaughter. The girl looked at a shattered mirror for a second. She didn't see her reflection. She saw another. Girl. Younger, smiling. Crying, burning. They entered the main chamber. At the center was a console. Old, rusted, still glowing. Rain tapped it. A video flickered on. A doctor spoke to the camera. "Project Nix. Phase 7 complete. Subject Beta 7 displays perfect energy discharge. Memory suppression stable." On screen they dragged a small girl into view. Pale, scared. Her arms shook. "She's human-born, mixed with element 17 DNA, the first hybrid, designed to destroy, programmed to obey." The girl stepped closer. "That's me." Rain looked at her. "They made you a weapon." She touched the screen gently. "I was just a child." Suddenly, the screen changed. Accessing file. Rain. Kalos connected subject found. Rain blinked. "Wait, what?" Photos appeared. A family, little girl with black hair and glowing eyes. Rain gasped. "That's my sister." The file read. Subject Alpha 6 failed prototype. "She was taken," Rain whispered. "I thought she died. In a fire." The girl touched his hand. "She didn't. She was the first. I was the second." Rain's voice cracked. "They used her to make you." The girl stepped back. Her breath quickened. "I'm not me. I'm a copy." "No," Rain said firmly. "You're more than that. You're her hope." Suddenly alarms blared. Intruders detected. Doors slammed shut. Holograms flickered on old scientists in white coats. Pre-recorded Protocol 9. If Subject Beta 7 discovers origin, initiate memory collapse, begin shutdown. The girl fell to her knees. The mark on her neck turned red. She screamed no. Rain ran to her, holding her tight. "Fight it." "I can't," she cried. "They're shutting me down from the inside." Rain looked at the console. A countdown appeared. 60 seconds. Brain core overload. He pulled out his blaster and shot the console. Sparks flew. The countdown froze. The girl gasped. The mark on her neck faded from red back to gold. She coughed. "You stopped it." Rain held her close. "I'm not letting them erase you." Far above, in orbit, a ship watched the lab. Inside it, the old alien leader watched silently. "She's reached the truth," he said. Another alien nodded. "Then what now?" He smiled, cold, calm, cruel. "Now we give her a choice, burn, or become what she was built to be." He pressed a button. Below, in the lab, a secret door opened. Inside the room stood a tube. And in it floated a small girl. Alive. Eyes closed, glowing faintly. A whisper filled the air. "Subject Alpha lives." Asterisk. The chamber was silent. The girl stood frozen in front of the glass tube. Inside, floating in blue light, was a child, small, fragile. Her eyes were closed, but her skin glowed faintly. Rain stepped forward. His voice cracked. "Alpha." It was her. His sister. Still alive. Still asleep. The girl turned to Rain, confused. "I thought she was gone." Rain placed his hand on the glass. "I did too, but this is her. The real her. Not just a file. Not just a memory." The mark on the girl's neck pulsed. Faster now. She stared at the child. "If she's Alpha, then what am I?" Rain didn't answer because he didn't know. A console lit up behind them. Project NYX final log. The girl stepped forward. A video started. A scientist's face appeared. He looked tired, angry. "If you're watching this, Subject Beta 7, then you've found the truth. You were made from Alpha's DNA after she failed to obey orders. You were meant to be stronger, faster, emotionless, a perfect weapon." The scientist sighed. "But something went wrong. You became curious. You asked questions. You showed mercy. That was not part of your design." The screen glitched. Static. "You were not human. You were not Alpha. You were a shadow of her potential." The video ended. Silence. Rain stepped toward the girl. "That's a lie," but she wasn't listening. Her legs gave way. She sank to the floor. "I'm not real," she whispered. "I'm just a version." "No," Rain said firmly. "You're more than a version. You saved lives. You made choices." "I'm a copy," she said again, staring at her glowing hands. "They gave me power, not purpose." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her fire flickered. Rain knelt beside her. "Then let's give you one." She looked at him. Her voice was barely a breath. "Why do you care so much?" "Because I've lost too many people," he said. "I won't lose you too." Suddenly, lights turned red. A loud voice echoed from above. "Subject Beta 7. Power threshold passed. Awakening core function." The girl screamed. Her body lifted off the ground. The mark on her neck flared bright gold, then turned black. Her veins glowed like lava. She wasn't controlling the power anymore. It was controlling her. Rain backed away. "No, fight it." She floated in the air, eyes wide, mouth open, but no words came. Just energy. Walls cracked. The glass tube holding Alpha shattered, but the child didn't wake. Sirens blared. The lab was breaking apart. Rain looked at her and shouted, "You're not a weapon. You're not what they made." The girl's fire exploded outward, but something strange happened. Right before the wave could hit Rain, It curved, it bent, it protected him. And then it stopped. She dropped to the floor. Smoke rose from her body. Her eyes were normal again. The mark faded. She blinked, breathing hard. I stopped it. Rain ran to her, held her close. You took control. I almost lost everything, she said. Even myself. But you didn't, he whispered. You chose. She looked up, eyes full of pain and peace. I'm not Alpha, she said. I'm not a copy either. Then who are you? She stood slowly. I'm Nix. They turned toward the child in the broken tube. Alpha lay still, alive, but unawake. Rain placed his hand on her chest. She's stable. We can save her. Nix nodded. We will. But then she turned, staring at a shadow on the wall. A secret door was opening. And behind it rows of other pods, other experiments. Some broken, some still full. One of them blinked a child. Just like her. Rain looked at the rows. How many did they make? Nix stared into the dark. Too many. Above the lab, the old alien leader watched through a camera. She took control of her core, the guard said. She resisted programming. The leader smiled. She's no longer a weapon. She's something worse. What now? The guard asked. The old one turned. We don't chase her anymore. He looked out at a map showing hidden labs across the stars. We prepare, because now, she's coming for us. The lab was dead. Broken walls, cracked lights, the silence of old sins. Rain stood by the cryopod, watching Alpha breathe softly in her sleep. His sister, lost for so long, was alive, but not safe, not yet. Behind him, Nick stared at the dark hallway where the other pods were stored. Some were shattered, some still held children. None had names. How many? Rain asked. 22 that are still alive, she said. Can we wake them? Nix shook her head. Not yet. Their minds aren't ready. If we force them, they'll burn like I almost did. She looked down at her own hands. No fire now, only warmth. They buried the broken pods one by one outside the lab, under the quiet sky of the dead moon. Rain marked the graves with pieces of the ship's wing. Nix stood silently beside him. Do you think they ever felt free? She asked. Rain didn't speak. He didn't have an answer. Later they sat under the stars. Alpha's pod rested beside them, powered by a backup core. Rain looked at Nix. What happens now? She was quiet then. She said, we find the others. The ones like me. The ones who were made. And we tell them the truth. That they're weapons? Rain asked. No, she said softly. That they have a choice. She stood up. Her silver hair caught the starlight. I was built in a lab, trained to destroy, told I was a copy, a mistake. Rain stepped beside her. You proved them wrong. She turned toward him. I've been called Beta 7 Subject 99 Codeset, but none of those are me. Rain nodded. So who are you? She closed her eyes. A soft light glowed from her chest, not from power but from peace. My name's Nix. She opened her eyes. And I choose to live. Suddenly a signal beeped from the ship. Rain ran to check it. The screen showed a distress call. Another lab. Another survivor. A child, scared and alone, begging in broken words. Help me please. Rain looked at Nix. She nodded. No more running. The ship lifted off. Nix stood at the front, no longer hiding, no longer changed. She wasn't fire. She wasn't weapon. She was hope. She watched the stars ahead. Rain stood beside her, Alpha safe behind them, and for the first time in a long time, they weren't escaping. They were going toward something in the darkness between stars. Systems came online. Old labs. Old projects. Names once erased from history now stirred. Awake. Some were afraid, some were waiting, and some were already watching Nix, but she didn't fear them because now, she wasn't alone. She had a name, she had a voice, and she had a mission.